Yo, we're back with another episode of K100 Talks. This week, we'll be talking about the Will Smith Chris Rock incident. You want to start it off, Di?
Yeah. Okay. Because the funny thing about this thing when it happened is I was very surprised at the social media response. Okay, because I don't, maybe I follow. People probably wouldn't think this, but I follow a very diverse group of people on Twitter, like political opinions and stuff. Probably more so conservatives, but I follow a lot of like people with a lot of diverse liberal ideas. Everything, right?
Right.
I was fascinated at the people that were like, this is violence. You don't do that. This is kind of like the immediate thing was like, okay, because when stuff like this happens, when somebody does something and it's inflamed, it's emotional, the immediate response is, what can we do to condemn this person? It's like there's it's like judge and jury are out there in like the social media world, and like immediately people assumed their position of like, you don't do that. That's violence. That's stuff. And then I was like, okay, it's a full stop here. We need to get into we need to figure out why a guy that's probably worth maybe $250 million, okay, would do what he did, which was, and this is the way I would want to describe the situation. A guy in front of like thousands of people in an auditorium and in front of millions of people at home insulted your wife on her medical condition that she has, that and like he was like uncomfortably laughing along with Chris Rock's jokes at him and everything, and he was kind of like laughing with that and looked at her, and she immediately gave him what I want to call as the look, and like the look to me was like, you better slap that. He like gave that, and like he immediately got up out of his chair, walked right up to Chris Rock, and I think Chris Rock kind of knew what was coming, because he put his hands behind his back and kind of like a situation. Bro, I've had this happen to me before. I've been attacked. Okay, me and Bagwell. I think I've told the story of this podcast before. When we were in Baltimore, we went to the bar, and afterwards, like, we kind of got jumped, and a guy kind of just like out of nowhere, like, tackled me to the ground, and he had I basically exposed my hands. I mean, like, hey, I'm not, I'm being attacked. I'm not being aggressive here. Like, I'm exposing my to try to make people feel like, okay, hey, you just attacked a defenseless person, right? And it's kind of like a position that you assume sometimes, like, okay, yeah, hey, I'm ready to get hit. I'm ready, whatever. But I'm trying to show everybody that, hey, I'm not being violent here, right? So Will Smith walks up and, like, bro, he could have punched him in the face, but he slapped him in the face. And he slapped him a good slap, right? And Chris Rock kind of shrugged it off. Will Smith went back to the seat. You didn't, bro. The exchange of him yelling at him afterwards, to me, was more powerful than the actual slap, because you didn't hear it on the broadcast. You had to watch the broadcast from the other overseas,
Australia or Japan or whatever.
Right. And when he says, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth," and he said it twice, very loud, and they were the only two voices in the room, And it's like, my thing is like, okay. You shouldn't attack people. You shouldn't assault people. You shouldn't, whatever. But I'm 100% like, if enough of people like insult your woman in front of a bunch of people and in front of an audience, and there's nothing but air and opportunity between you and the guy that's insulting her, there is a percentage of people that do not play that and will walk up and smack you in the face. And it's like, I find it difficult that not a lot of people are wrapping their head around that narrative, because they're all like, "Oh, Will Smith is, he's a cuck. He's like, he lets his wife sleep with other men, all this other." But like the context of like thing is like, dude, it's like, you don't know the type of relationship they have over this problem that she has. She's losing her hair, and like that's got to be a major. Like, could you have, Konnan? Imagine if you and Stacy, she came out and now she lost all her hair, she's bald. It would probably be a considerable part of like the discourse and dialogue that you two have with each other. Uncomfortable with something, and to see somebody making fun of it, like on the world stage, in front of, like, I don't know, like I'm just saying, like, I'm not defending what he did, but I'm not condemning what he did. I could absolutely see somebody doing that given that situation and given the magnitude of you're insulting somebody in front of one of the larger audiences of the year, and it's something that's obviously very close to home to the two of you. She was embarrassed, gave him a look, and I would just love, because we're going to hear this in the coming weeks. I imagine Will Smith's going to do an interview. I would love to hear what he says was going on through his mind from the time he walked up out of the chair to the time he got in front of Chris Rock, and whether or not he was going to slap him or punch him. And I wonder if he was making that decision, because he would have, Chris Rock put his hands behind his back, and offered himself up. He could have taken a right hand and gotten dropped. He could have, bro. It's like he could have, and I think he knew it was coming, But it's like I just see people really getting on Will Smith about this, and I'm like, dude, it's like there's a percentage of people that just do not play that, and if you bury somebody in public, they're gonna smack you in the face, and that's what happened. And Chris Rock was cool with it. He didn't press charges and kind of understood, and that's my take. What's yours?
I think mine's a way different than yours.
I would imagine it would have been. Everybody's just,
and I'll tell you why. But let me tell you why.
There's so many different narratives. That's my narrative.
Right. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I respect this. Right. I respect your opinion.
Right.
So I'm thinking to myself, first of all, I wasn't insulting you. I was saying a joke, and there is a big difference. He wasn't on a street corner going, "Hey, you're just some ball." And then he's got to do something and defend her. He was making a joke. He made a joke. Now, here's another thing. Chris Rock claims, and I didn't know this, but he claims he didn't know she had alopecia, that he just saw her with short hair. That's why I said I like the G.I. Jane look. I'd also like to say I thought she looked very glamorous with her hair short like that. I didn't even know she was losing her hair. I just thought, wow, she decided to, have her hair shaved. Man, she looks bomb. Right. And I think there's a time and a place for everything. And I'll give you an example. When I was in the military, one of the things they used to love to do is they would embarrass you in front of everybody, and it's a good thing to do, because you don't want to be called out in front of your boys and in front of your peers. And when I got into the wrestling business and I was in a position of power, bro, I had no trepidations about burying anybody in front of anybody else. And I found out that everybody's wired differently. Most guys, if you bury them in front of other people, they really take it hard, really hard. And so now when I talk to people, I try not to bury them in front of other people. I just grab them and I talk to them alone, So I think there's a time and a place. He could have done that backstage. Hey, I didn't appreciate it. If you're going to smack a dude there, you don't do it on live TV. I don't know what type of meltdown he had that he felt it was necessary for him to go out there and smack a comedian. Because what's going to stop? Wait a minute.
That's the question.
That's the question. So my whole thing is, so what's going to stop the next guy? I don't know. Jussie Smollett is in the audience and Dave Chappelle says something about, and he comes up and hits him with a chair. Everybody's wired differently, as we saw with the Masvidal thing. A lot of people wouldn't have done what Masvidal did, but Masvidal is wired differently. Same thing. I want to compare these situations. Right. Same thing with Khabib. Khabib wasn't playing Connor's. Right. Right.
Words mean different things to different people. Right. It's like you can sit there here's the thing. To me, this is like a math equation. You can find a percentage of people that will hey, you can't, regardless of what happens, you can't smack somebody. You can't do that. It's assault, it's violence. But there is a percentage of people that other people would agree and say, hey, do not insult my wife in front of the world.
Yeah, but he's not insulting her.
No, but you understand that there is camps here.
Bro, how long? He's a comedian himself. He's kind of a comedian.
I'm aware of that.
And on top of that, here's the other thing, bro. It's Will Smith. It ain't some jack off.
I work a $250 million. I could take my
He's been around some of the smartest guys that have existed in this universe. Great directors, great screenwriters, great lawyers, great. He's been around greatness long enough to conduct himself like a great man. I don't know what type of maybe they fought before they left the house. Right, exactly. Who the fuck knows?
That's my whole point on this. People are just immediately without getting bro, says like this. All we saw is a guy walk up on stage.
Well, it's hard to know any of that.
Exactly.
Glenn.
But it's this is the thing. Is we saw the crime, and we're making our judgment and everything before we've even gathered any the evidence. It's I need to interview the suspect. You know, so I want to know what was going on to your mind. What did you think, bro? Because he had to go up on stage. This is the most fascinating thing about it. I want to go this other narrative because there's 3 narratives here, right? It's that narrative that we just discussed. The second narrative is that is basically comparing to the Colby Covington situation. There's an intersection here of similar circumstances where somebody walked up and assaulted somebody. You know, so this is the exact same thing. You have two exact same situations based on the surface. A person walked up and assaulted a defenseless person, right? It's really weird to me how a lot of the people that kind of are supporting Masvidal in this situation, you know, say, hey, like I said, are kind of on the camp of they're supporting Chris Rock. It's there's it's there's people that are supporting the aggressor in one instance and the victim in the other, but where they're both kind of very similar situations. So the thing is this is way more of a complex situation than anybody could really think of because there's so many narratives at work that are working in conflict with each other.
There's
here.
a lot of levels.
A lot of levels.
And these guys, I don't know if you know, and I don't think it's been made clear, but, it's not like those two are strangers, Chris Rock and Will Smith. They know each other. They're in pictures. So that's you walked up and slapped your friend for making – it's almost like he hit his friend, too.
Okay, so let's go to the third level here. The third level is, and this is everybody, we're in the wrestling community, so you've seen this on the Twitter, okay? There is a percentage, probably about a good 25% of the people that follow us on Twitter, the wrestling fans, that are assuming this is a work.
For what?
There's a lot.
Are they going to have a match or something?
I know. It doesn't make either one of them look good at all. Why would it be a work?
No. But they didn't. However, in the grand scheme of things, and this is I always I always step back and try to look in the grand scheme of things, and this is where I never turn off my conspiracy theory radar. Yeah. I always keep it at level 1 or 2 just to listen to the noise and stuff and all that, But from the conspiracy theory standpoint, you saw the tweets, people well, the ratings have sucked for years. They're doing that for the ratings. Yeah. And I was okay, it's all right. Let's, this is ridiculous. You think, that's ridiculous. But look at the way this was produced. You literally had everybody in the audience, all sitting next to each other side by side in the stadium or something. But where do we have the two main people? They have their own little special section. 2 chairs, not near anybody. It's almost like you had a spotlight on those two.
Well, he's there because he was a nominee, so the nominees get put up.
Yeah, but he's a nominee, but he was definitely a focal point of the production.
Yes.
Can we agree with that? He's sitting right there. He's he's at the end. He's the first person. He's in the very front row, literally right there, ramp walking to Chris Rock. So if this was produced, if this was a work, if this was something to get people more interested into the Oscars, you can make a case based on the fact that it was produced it was I'm not throwing that out the window. I'm definitely not throwing that was a work because here we're dealing with one of the best comics in the planet and one of the best actors on the planet. They could obviously pull off a work.
What's the end game of this work?
I don't know.
Yeah,
the ratings. Prepare. It's that simple. The Oscars have been doing terrible ratings. They always get negative press because all the virtue signaling and stuff like that. And this is something that maybe change the narrative. Oscars is much watch TV now. You have to watch the Oscars because now it's because it's bro, it's one of the. The Oscars is the NFL Monday Night Football or the Super Bowl.
So then they're going to have to book a fight every year now. No. Stay and watch it.
No. It's clickbait. It's we're going to produce a fight to make people. Because here's the thing, bro. The Oscars night, the ad rates for this are off the charts. It's one of the biggest, supposed to be one of the biggest viewing nights of the year. The Super Bowl and the Oscars.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
All right, so I'm saying, but the Oscars are plummeted in the ratings the past 3-4 years.
Could be. I find it highly unlikely.
But there is a percentage of you that's
not
plausible.
Going.
Yes,
right,
and that's the exact same way I look at it. Absolutely. But it was very fascinating. I thought it was it was just funny, to see the people's immediate reaction. And my whole thing was all right, I'd love to hear from Will Smith. And I'd love to hear. Then there's another thing I tweeted too. Is I would love to see what the ratings were minute by minute after that happened. How many people saw this happening, on Twitter, social media, and started tuning in because they heard some Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock. Did you see it live?
Huh?
Conan, did you see it?
Well, no.
Yeah,
I
have you
saw
seen it? Have you seen it yet?
I watch it on Twitter.
Yeah, you watch it after it happened.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, what did you think when you saw it?
I was like, what's wrong? I just couldn't believe somebody of his stature would do that, and I just thought, is he on something? Is he?
I was like, wait. I was like, what exactly? Just my whole thing was like, wait. What? Just what? Why did he do that?
What I think,
and I had to keep going back and trying to investigate to find out what led up to this, what happened and stuff.
Yeah.
And bro, I didn't hear until hours later the part where he cut the cussing promo on him afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Right
away. I didn't hear that. I just saw him slapping and thought that was it. So he's like,
right.
But to me, that was the promo was the rawest thing about it.
I think the perception of him
if that was the work, that was the best acting job.
The perception of him in the past few years, though, has been he lets Jada sleep around. He's a cuck, this kind of thing. Maybe it's just really drove him nuts, all that talk for a couple of years. So he felt like he had to stand up for being a man or whatever.
Drove him to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't make fun of us.
Yeah.
Stop making fun of us. I'm a
and he had made.
Who knows? Bro, this guy's worth like $250 million.
Yeah.
I don't know what goes on through this, how that mind is wired.
Right. And Chris Rock had made jokes about them before. I don't know. But like I said, they look pretty friendly to me in other pictures and stuff like that.
Right.
But a couple of years ago, Jada boycotted the Oscars. And Chris Rock kind of made a joke like, well, who invited her? That kind of thing or whatever. So I don't know if he goes after them regularly.
I mean, like I'm saying, there's a lot, whether or not you judge either person's, I think we need to get the whole backstory and everything that's happened in their history between these three people.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I would make a judgment. So
yeah.
All right. So that's been K100 Talks. Thank you very much. And check out our Patreon at KONNAN.me. Boom.